What's up, ring slingers? It's the Emerald Enthusiast, the co-host of the Emerald Echo podcast. Here with a look at the DC Collectibles 2013 New York Comic Con exclusive 3 3/4 inch action figure 2-pack of the Blue Lantern leader Saint Walker and Green Lantern Hal Jordan. This is a collector-centric line. The figures are somewhat fragile. There are many small parts, and that's why this product is intended for collectors ages 14 and up. For instance, this accessory is definitely a choking hazard. The packaging designates this as a New York Comic Con exclusive of only 3,000 pieces. There's a partial window, and it says Green Lantern on the top. There's product information on the bottom. We get full body product shots on the side, and these figures were sculpted by Robert Linders. On the opposite side, we get close-up product shots. On the back, we see a group shot of the entire 3 3/4 inch Green Lantern line. I am quite a fan of this line. I wish that more figures would have been made. However, in terms of the packaging, I don't like that Saint Walker is partially obscured and Hal Jordan is bent over and looking off to the side. So I think that the packaging could have used some improvements. But with that being said, now it's time to bust these figures out of the package and see what's inside. Here are the figures free of the box, but still bound to the inner plastic. Here's a look at the inner cardboard tray, and I like the idea of using this as a backdrop as well as the artwork. I just wish that the greens were a little brighter. Here is the only accessory that comes with this 2-pack, and that is this construct fist that goes with Hal Jordan, and it's sculpted very well. I will say, though, the plastic is very hard. I wouldn't try to force this on Jordan's right arm because I think you could do some damage. But the ring sculpting is exceptional, especially for an area this small. And here we see Hal Jordan and Saint Walker out of the package and ready to rumble. The amount of detail on these 3 3/4 inch figures is amazing, and the articulation far exceeds that of many comparative toy lines. However, the fragility of these figures is very evident when you hold them. So with the greatest of care, let's take a closer look at the loose details now. Let's start with a look at Saint Walker. And as you can see along the quadriceps and the calf muscles here, there is a magnificent degree of sculpting, especially considering the scale. And I really like this metallic blue paint. The light really dances off of it. You can see all of the musculature here on the latissimus dorsi. Look at all of that definition. Again, as well as the calf muscles. This is a very accurate body type to Saint Walker. Also, the Blue Lantern Corps symbol is sculpted. You can feel the edges of it. It's really a shame that this figure didn't come with accessories because he has this gripping hand, which would have been perfect for a personal power battery. The ring doesn't have a lot of sculpting. However, I think that the shape and the paint applications are both adequate for this scale. I'm not going to fault DC Collectibles here because that area is so small. Now, overall, I think the head looks good. The shape and the skin tone for Saint Walker, all of that is accurate to the comics. I do have one appearance issue with the head sculpt, and that is this yellow mouth here. I'm not exactly sure why they used that color for the mouth, because there's nothing in the comics to suggest that it should be that way. As a display piece, this is really a fine figure. In the interest of total transparency, let me say I was very nervous doing the articulation on these figures. The ankles are single pin joints. They move backward and forward. There is no pivoting. The feet swivel at the top of the boots. There are double jointed knees, but they're very unusual. They don't have double pins, and that's kind of what I expected. This one is fairly tight, so I can get the leg to go up that far. This one seems overly loose, so I was very wary about articulating that joint. However, it does seem to be holding together. The hips are another area of concern. I've heard many stories about legs popping off right out of the package. And as you can see here, these are pretty tight. That's as far as the legs will go to the sides, and I'm certainly not going to force those. The figure has the lower ab crunch, as you can see here. You can get him to rock back that much, and you can get him to crunch forward considerably. So I'm very appreciative of that. And he also has the upper torso swivel, and that does give you posing options. There's rotation at the top of the gauntlets, but again, be very careful. This is a very small area. Both arms have bicep swivels, and you can get the arm to do a 360 at the shoulder joint. Again, be very careful, but it is possible. I was able to get the arms to go out this far without too much resistance. The head moves easily side to side, and there's a very minimal amount of movement upward and downward, but that's the articulation for St. Walker. Now let's have a look at Hal Jordan. Much like St. Walker, he has plenty of detail in the musculature. You can see that back there in the calf muscles. I like this glossy green, although I feel like they could have used a more metallic green. Hal definitely has plenty of definition in the traps and the lats back here, as well as in the abdominals. All of those areas look excellent. Once again, the chest symbol is sculpted, but it's not as pronounced as St. Walker's chest symbol. The ring is certainly undersized, even given the scale. As you can see, it's just not big enough. The gloves are well painted, and there's plenty of sculpting in the forearms. I like the glossy finish on the black sections of the costume as well. As you would expect, these figures are very light, and the plastic seems somewhat brittle, and I'm guessing that may become even more of an issue over time. In terms of the head sculpt, I don't think that DC Collectibles did a bad job at all. The mask may be slightly undersized, but it is sculpted, and there is plenty of detail on the face as well as the hair. So I'm impressed by all this very intricate work here. Here's a shot of the back of the head. Despite the small scale, I still think that the figure has a realistic look to it. In terms of articulation, the feet move on their pins backward and forward. Once again, there's rotation at the top of the boots. With the double jointed knees, if you want to get the figure into a running pose, you do have that option. Once again, there's limited movement at the hip joints. The legs only go out that far, and I'm already getting resistance, so I want to be very careful there. But you can get the figure to kick forward that much. He has the lower abdominal crunch, and that allows you to rock him back for a flying pose. He has the upper torso swivel, as you can see. The arms do a 360 at the shoulder joint. And he has swiveling at the top of the gloves. And just like St. Walker, he has a bicep swivel on each arm. One arm's a little tighter than the other on my figure. In terms of the head sculpt, it moves easily from side to side, and there is a very minor amount of movement up and down. Again, this is a collector-centric figure. Try to avoid articulating it too often, and when you do, do so slowly and gently. I was able to slide the right arm into the accessory just enough to get it to stay in place, but it wouldn't go all the way in. Perhaps you'll have better luck with your figure. However, I do think that you risk paint damage by trying to force the hand into the construct. So I have two other sets of these, and this is one that has been signed by Robert Venditti. A friend of mine went to a Comic-Con a few years ago that I couldn't attend, but I really wanted Robert Venditti's autograph, and so I gave my friend this, and this is a very light, compact collectible, and so that might be another reason you want to buy this. It's really cool for autographs. And now some final thoughts on this 2-pack. Even though I think some areas could have used improvement, I'm still a huge fan of this line. I'm very appreciative of the fact that characters from the other Lantern Corps were included in this line. These aren't the easiest figures to find, and when you do, they're usually between $40 and $50. If you buy either one of these figures loose, insist on extra packing for safe shipping. In terms of display, I would recommend just leaving these figures in the box. If you do take them out, vanilla pose them for safety reasons. I certainly hope you have enjoyed this review. If so, please like and subscribe. Stay tuned for some articulation shots, and also remember to catch me on Multiverse Musings, the vidcast, and that's available right here on YouTube. And I'll be back with more Green Lantern related content soon. But until we meet again, this has been the Emerald Enthusiast, and thanks for watching.